It is the third angel type in the series that debuted in Medarot DS. It is ANG03 Revive Angel, with a kit of Rebirth, Repair, Rebirth, Flight Legs, and the leg ability of Barrier, which grants guard boost effect to self when charging Metaforce. Now, of course, given the fact that she has Rebirth not once, but twice in her build, already will put Revive Angel in a relatively high place on the meta, given that usually keeping it on the team for sake of coverage is better than not having it at all, especially as that general fallback should one of your dedicated nukers or fighters fall in battle. So it is generally never a bad skill to have in any particular build. Rebirth, of course, is a skill that will revive a fallen ally on the field back to 10% HP to all parts, so that alone puts Revive Angel a very big step above the rest when it compares to even most other angel types in terms of the overall healing. Basic Repair is a simple healing skill that will grant a small amount of HP back to a damaged but not broken part, and the level of healing is relative to the efficiency overall that is on the healing skill of that particular metal. Flight Legs, of course, is kind of standard and par for the course with the angel types, means that she's going to have relatively solid and very high base mobility, and a pretty solid evade stat on top of that to help boost her overall coverage and her viability on the field to keep from getting nuked or punished, perhaps, for making use of healing skills. And the barrier effect on top of that does actually add extra coverage on top of that, and more as a sense of like life insurance in this case, to kind of help guarantee that even if Revive Angel does end up having to take a hit or two, she can take it without the risk of it really breaking anything. Across the board, though, armor is pretty relative and par for the course for most females, but with really high heat stats across the board too, which is really nice and very openly welcome to have to help guarantee that no matter what kind of healing you're using, whether it be Rebirth or basic Repair, you can basically run to the line and get back, take your turn and be back without the risk of getting punished mid running cycle or something of the like. And of course, with the high mobility of 972 puts her very high up there. Base evade of 1815 means that she's going to be dodging and grazing a lot that's not particularly targeted at her. And melee resist of 688 is not necessarily the greatest, and in the few instances where melee attacks are definitely going to be landing, unfortunately that is going to be a rather big pain point for Revive Angel. But with a shoot resist of 975, it looks like she can kind of hold her own relatively well, depending on how you choose to use her. As a pure set score, I would have to rate Revive Angel about a 4 out of 10, unfortunately. Not to say that any of her skills are particularly bad, but the fact that she has Rebirth twice does kind of tie into the redundancy argument and make it kind of tricky to use her efficiently, because Rebirth can't really be used unless someone on the field has already died. So unless you can make use of that with someone who's very low in armor, or someone who has paper armor, or a glass cannon, you would not be using the skill very often unless in a last-ditch situation. So the only skill on her as a pure set that's efficient is basic Repair at that. As mixed parts, on the other hand, I would rate her much higher at an 8 out of 10 for the fact that because she has Rebirth on a head and an arm, it means you can fit it just about anywhere in any particular team build and still be able to factor it in without costing a slot, especially a heavy slot no less, and still get to keep your overall coverage. And of course, Flight Legs in this case also are very good, especially geared toward healers to help ensure that if you are choosing to use her for healing or for any other role, you can make use of it without having to rely too much on low speed, and guarantee that you can help take your turn first before anyone else can maybe intercept you.